Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Steven the Laggy Gamer. Sorry if I sound out of breath or tired or everything in this video. Just got back from the gym, awful work, and been a long day, but I'm going to try and knock this video out. I tried to do it a couple days ago when I beat the game, so hopefully it's fresh in my mind, but it should be because it was a fantastic game. But anyways, if not, I mean, Pandora's Tower. I'm going to try and do this thoughts on video for you guys. Hopefully I can get through it and not get any more interruptions. I've already had 3 within the past 2 minutes with trying to get this video started. And the camera's dying, so I really need to fly through it. But anyways, Pandora's Tower. We finally completed Operation Rainfall. It is complete. So proud of those guys for all the work they tried to get these things over here, and I'm glad we were able to get them. And hopefully there's just more to come. More Japanese releases to come stateside. So anyways, Pandora's Tower. What's it about? Is it any good? Does it live up to the Operation Rainfall name with all the other games? In my opinion, yes. Pandora's Tower, pretty much the story. You follow Aaron and Elena and their journey of pretty much love. Just like every game in this Operation Rainfall kind of trilogy, everything was kind of centered around love. There was always an underlying war going on in all these games, even in this one, but it was centered around mainly just two characters and their love for each other. So pretty cool how all those kind of follow that, but you could say every RPG kind of follows that. But in this one, you're following Elena, who's the woman in this game, and Aaron, the man, and it starts off with they're at this festival, and he's there listening to her sing. She was chosen to sing at this festival, and then she gets cursed. And pretty much the game is Aaron taking her to these towers that he was told he could go to lift the curse. The person who tells him this is a witch known by the name of Mabda, who walks around with this old man, looks like in a jar on her back. But those are pretty much the only characters in the game that you're going to be with throughout the game. And it's pretty cool because it's able to build a relationship between Aaron and Elena in this game, that because you're just focusing on these characters the whole time. And they really keep Aaron from talking a lot, and they let her do a lot of the talking. He does have voice acting, but mainly it's her. And you're just getting to hear her and her thoughts on things going on. At times when she's scared, times when she's happy, times when she's singing. So it's pretty cool how they really make you want to save her and not make her feel like a burden. Even though at times she did feel like a burden, they really did make you want to care for her and want to rescue her from this curse that she's been given. And pretty much what this curse is, it turns her into a demon, so to speak. Turns her into a monster. Over a course of time period, she starts to transform. So they're trying to stop this transformation. And the only way to stop this transformation is to take out the masters in the 13 towers that are at this location where they're at. So I'm sorry, I forget all the names of the lands and everything where they're at, but they all have names. And basically it's pretty much 13 towers with 13 masters. Well, 12 towers, then the 13th for the final tower. Each with their own master. And as you kill a master, you retrieve a master flesh from that master, you give it to Elena, and that helps to subdue the curse. So that's pretty much the gist of this game. There is an underlying story of war that has happened throughout the land that does play a big part in it, but I'm not going to try to explain all that. It's pretty much the simple thing is love story. Love story between these two and Aaron trying to save her. So stick with that, and then there is the war story is more to it, especially near the ending. So you're going to want to keep up with that as well, but I'm not even going to try to explain it because it can get kind of confusing. But anyways, how's this game play out? It's pretty much, like I said, you're going to these towers, and it's a pretty cool story about these towers. There's this big scar in the land, and the towers are up, and there's chains pretty much attached to the land like a circle. And it was told that these towers were put there keeping the land held together and pieced together. And if they fall apart, like the land could rip apart or something. So that's pretty neat, like history behind it. But as that witch, I call her a witch, she's like a witch doctoress type of person. As she said, to go to these towers and take down the masters, then I can try to help fight this curse that Elena has. So you go throughout each tower and you take down the masters. It's an action RPG. It's really simplistic. Sorry, one of the bad things about using your phone as a camera, you keep getting phone calls. So, anyways, as I was saying, the combat is an action RPG, and it's pretty simplistic like the controls are. You pretty much have a sword. There's three weapon types you can choose through the game. A sword, a small kind of twin blade dagger sets, and a scythe that's a heavier weapon. You get to pick between those three, and it's pretty much just mapped to A, hacking away with it. You also can do a charge up attack that lets you do more combos because each weapon can be leveled up with items and materials you find throughout the board. Kind of like a Monster Hunter-esque type feel or deal, trying to collect the proper equipment and items and level up the gear. So it's pretty cool that it had a concept of RPG elements like that with gathering. It also had RPG concepts in the gear you can equip and stuff. Kind of reminded me of Resident Evil 4, how you had your cache box and your cache box, and you had to arrange the items and stuff in that grid to what you could wear and carry. Kind of the same format, just not as at that large of a scale in this game. You'll have a certain number of blocks you can fill up, and like a vest or a leather jacket or something will take up a certain amount of spots, while a pendant might take up another amount. So that's pretty much how the game works with the equipment. So you also get items such as healing items. You get like weapon items like bombs and stuff that are mapped throughout the D-pad on the Wii remote. Really simple. I thought the controls were easy to use because you're just mashing out on A, using items with the D-pad and they're right beside each other. Also, your primary secondary weapon that's always with you is a chain. I think it's called the Ocules chain, I want to say. I could be wrong though. And this chain plays a huge part in the game because it's the only weapon you use to actually rip out the Master Flesh's hearts and items, or Master Flesh out of these bosses and masters. And you can also use it as a secondary weapon in the combat system. You can use it to stun enemies. You can use it to grab onto enemies and attach them to a door so they can't move and hack away at them. You can use it to do like a chain shot where you're just shooting a chain shot at them, almost like a shooter. So it uses a lot of variety with the chain. It also helps you when you're platforming. There's ledges you're going to have to use it to latch onto and swing up to, like a bionic commando type deal or something. So the chain was really cool in the game and added a little mix up to the combat, but really simple as far as the combat and stuff, and it probably would get a little like repetitive once you're getting near the end of the game because you're just hacking away at A. But there is a combo move, like I was saying, that you can unlock within the weapons when you level them up enough, where you start to glow blue and a blue ring starts to come around you. And if you hit A at the right proper time, you'll do an attack and then it'll light up again. You hit A again. And you can do some pretty cool combos with these weapons. Now I stuck to the sword and the scythe. I kind of did both of them, then went back to the sword and leveled that almost all the way up. But I really enjoyed both of those. Never really messed with the daggers. So there's also a roll button where you can dodge in this game so easy. If you hit the button, you're pretty much guaranteed to get missed by whatever is coming at you. So it was a pretty easy game until you get to the masters, and that's where the highlight of the game is. These master fights, the 12, 13 masters you get to fight, insane, very creative, awesome boss fights. Because your sword doesn't damage the boss. They might do a side thing to maybe knock some armor off or something, or kill some little ads that are running around. But the main concept is to latch on with the chain and to pull out the Master Flesh from the masters. And that's easier said than done, because you don't just get it in one pull. It's going to take multiple connections, multiple pulls to get this thing taken out. But it was really creative how they did some of these masters. Each one was kind of themed around the dungeon or the tower. There could be like a forest tower, water tower, fire, and then it flips around again for the second half of the game, pretty much repeating itself. But in each boss would kind of follow suit with that tower. But really, really fun, creative bosses that really made you think to have to take them down. Really reminded me of a Zelda type game. This game reminded me of Zelda, Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, like all wrapped into one. I think me and Dustin were talking about it. It even reminded of another game. I can't even think off the top of my head. I was even getting like visions of Nier in the game. So I mean, really crazy how it has a combination of everything in it. So, but yeah, definitely the highlight of the game is the boss fights in the towers, especially the second half of the game with like towers 6 and 7 through on out through the game. There's some tough, challenging fights in there. A lot of fun though, really challenging. Another main concept of this game is, seems like a lot of games and RPGs are doing these games are like an infinity meter, like your relationship with Elena. There is a meter on the side. Not only is there a transformation meter like when you're in the dungeon or the towers, she's constantly going to be having this bar go down where she's transforming into this beast. And if you don't get back in time with some flesh to feed her, because you don't have to just use a master flesh, because some of these towers are long, and enemies will drop different types of flesh. You can actually go back to the tower, give it to her, let her meter go back up so she doesn't transform, go back to the dungeon and do your thing. Sometimes, though, you're like, I'm really close to the master, so just keep pushing forward, or should I go back and help her out? You got to kind of weigh the odds, because you're going to have to do a lot of backtracking if you go back. I'm just letting you know. So try to play it out, maybe after every time you break a chain to the master door, and that just leads into more of the gameplay, and I won't get into that. You'll figure that out when you get in it. But yeah, another main aspect, like I was saying, is the affinity. Above that transformation meter is an affinity meter, where basically it's the relationship you build with Elena. And depending on how much affinity you have will depend on the ending you're going to get in this game. You can get pretty much 6 endings to the game, with the best ending being having full-on affinity. So you're going to want to try to get your affinity as high as you can throughout the game. And you do this by talking to Elena, giving her master flesh, giving her gifts. So a lot of touches in there were really cool, just how to get that built up. I think I got the second to best ending. Not the best one, but almost. I found I was like 1 bar away from getting the best ending. So it's kind of frustrating, but constantly go back to talk to her, because there's going to be extra cutscenes if you don't leave the tower to go talk to her to give her a little bit of flesh that you're going to miss out on. You're going to miss out on scenes if you don't give her a gift. So Elena was a really cool character. But I hear the wife and kid out there about to come in with groceries, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. The music was kind of mundane to me in this game. It fits with the game, but not really. It's not something I'm going to listen to when I'm driving down the road. But it did fit perfect with the game, and I could see it there while I'm playing. It did fit, especially the boss battle music. And the levels were really creative in the level designs and how each one had their own little theme. And I thought they did a good job with puzzles and everything. So before this gets blasted with a child's voice screaming in the background, I'll go ahead and cut it off here. I love the game. It's probably the 3rd best, but if Xenoblade Chronicles is a 10, Last Story a 9, this is like an 8.5 for me. So awesome game. Go check it out. Operation Rainfall complete. Like a gamer, like an app.